So on the line with us is Horace Cooper. Horace is an attorney. He's a senior fellow with the National Center for Public Policy Research, a conservative think tank. Nationalcenter.org is the website. You can tweet him at National Center. And Horace, welcome to the radio show. Have you been on our radio show before?
On the program.
Have you been on this show before?
I've been on with you before, but it's been a long time.
Okay, well, welcome back. Welcome back.
Thank you.
You know, we used to regularly debate on TV, and I'm glad to have you here. Although it would be great if we could see your picture as well. Anyhow, I am somewhat concerned. I remember when Bill Clinton was president, and he was trying to get Osama bin Laden, and was very concerned about al-Qaeda. This was right after Osama bin Laden had been published in the New York Times in '98, that bin Laden said that if we didn't pull out of the Bin Sultan Air Force Base in Saudi Arabia, which had been put there by Bush Sr. To stage for the first Iraq War, he thought that, you know, having male GIs drinking alcohol and watching pornography and female GIs showing their elbows and driving cars was blasphemous in the sacred land of homeland of Islam, of Saudi Arabia. That if that wasn't done, that he was going to explicitly attack, physically attack the United States. I mean, he told us what was coming. And when Clinton tried to take him out with a cruise missile, missed him by just 25 minutes. The Republicans went on the floor of the House and Senate, Newt Gingrich in particular, saying Clinton was just trying to wag the dog to distract our attention from the Monica Lewinsky investigations. And most Republicans seem to have believed Gingrich at the time. And, you know, a lot of conservative media certainly did, you know, Rush Limbaugh was, you know, all gung-ho on that. So realizing that that was a pure partisan smear, I'm asking this question, and I hope it doesn't come across as a partisan smear, but I think that it's actually a legitimate question right now, is will Donald Trump use Syria? And, I mean, you know, he's got several parties, most specifically Saudi Arabia and Israel, egging him on for this battle, because Syria, in their minds, is a proxy for Iran, certainly is allied with Iran, and with Russia as well. Will Donald Trump use Syria to distract us all from the attention to the fact that he's apparently right on the edge of a Nixon moment? He's about to take down the Justice Department because, you know, well, he'd have to take down a heck of a lot. I mean, this was the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, you know, who conducted this FBI raid of Michael Cohen's office yesterday. But because he might be going down for being, you know, for the crimes of the Trump crime family.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. Let
Sure.
me start with Bill Clinton. There was a very, very, really seminal work. It was called Losing Bin Laden, written by author Rich Miniter, that outlines the multiple instances where the Clinton administration failed to secure and take bin Laden, including in one instance where it would have just involved a come here and pick him up.
No, I get all that, but that's not what I'm talking about, Horace.
What I'm suggesting is that it was in the context of that awareness, of that lack of action, that led some to conclude that this action that was taken with the missiles wasn't about a sincere effort to get him, but was about an effort to distract.
And one wonders if that might have informed Clinton's thinking. I mean, I'm not discounting that altogether. I'm just saying.
Okay, I just
you
want to give context. So now we have today's situation. In today's situation, we have two issues that I think your audience might find of interest. The first one has to do with the fact that Syria is a proxy of Russia. And there had been a lot of talk that the President of the United States, Donald Trump, must be involved in some sort of relationship with Russia to allow the Russian interests to exceed those of the America alliance and relationships. Once we've already
particularly
seen,
NATO.
We've already seen an attack that took place in Syria last year, not quite a year ago. And now there is a conversation taking place that may involve the French, the British, and other members of the aforementioned NATO, that it will be a response to this. How all of those parties could agree to be players in a wag the dog scenario seems to me a little bit strange.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And if that's how it works and how it plays out, I would be a lot more sanguine about it. But what I saw yesterday, hey, let's get all the generals together and then let's rant about, I'm under attack by the FBI. That really seemed to me bizarre, Horace. I mean, as a conservative, I mean, what would Barry Goldwater say about that?
Well, as I mentioned, we don't have a scenario where there is no evidence, no argument, no circumstance or situation where some sort of response wouldn't be warranted.
Well, hang on just a second. The Russians are asserting, and again, their assertions have not always held up to the light of day, but they're asserting that what happened here was you've got this ISIS group that controls this neighborhood or this city, the city of Homs, this ISIS group that controls it and entirely controls it, saying to themselves, we really need somebody to take out Bashar al-Assad. We need him destroyed. So how do we make that happen? We're just a ragtag bunch of terrorists here who happen to control this little town. Well, if we can do our own chlorine gas attack and kill a dozen people or so, and that's no big deal to us. I mean, we kill 100 people every day just for fun. So if we kill a dozen people with chlorine gas and let the media in to film it, we can get the United States, the most powerful military in the world, to take down Assad. Now, I'm not saying that that's what's happening. In fact, I'm skeptical that that's what's happening. But that's the assertion that the Russians and the Syrians are making. And presumably the Iranians would be in agreement with that. So,
yeah,
I mean, isn't it incumbent on the international community to confirm this?
All of that would have taken a lot of planning, and it would not have been able to be timed with the raid on the president's attorney's office. And that was part two of what I was about to say, and that's the Lynn Stewart case. People have been a little bit quiet about the circumstances of attorney Lynn Stewart, who was a defense attorney who was charged for attempting to use the attorney-client privilege relationship that she had with Sheikh Omar, the Egyptian cleric that was under arrest and charged with terrorist acts against the United States. And during that period, several groups like the ACLU and trial lawyers organizations were embittered by the idea that the U.S. attorney would secretly listen and surveil her in her conversations that she was having, which was the only way that they were able to show that she was, in fact, abusing the attorney-client
What does that have to do with this? We're talking about whether the lawyer for the President of the United States engaged in fraud in trying to conceal the president having an affair, which, by the way, many are speculating the reason that Trump is so hysterical about this when he's just come right out and bragged about grabbing other women by the crotch is that this might blow up his prenuptial with Melania. The first question he asked when this story came out, you'll recall, was, when was I married to Melania?
This is relevant because she was given a 10-year sentence, and it was shown with audio evidence that she was, in fact, abusing the attorney-client privilege to engage in support for terrorist activity after September 11th.
Do you think that Michael Cohen was engaged in criminal act? Do you think there's a high probability? I mean, there's an enormously high bar to pierce that attorney-client veil. You're a lawyer, of course.
So much outrage over her actions being surveilled and the breach occurring, and almost no conversation about that taking place today. In both instances,
that was years ago.
Considered a high barrier to breach that attorney-client privilege.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess we'll see how this all plays out, and it's fascinating talking with you, Horace. Thanks a lot for the call.
Hey, it's always great to come on.
Thanks a lot for being with us. I appreciate it.